Have you ever walked into a coffee shop and the barista's talking about the washed Ethiopian, the natural Colombian, or their fresh Brazilian? What are they talking about? Well, let's get our minds out of the gutter, guys, because the elf is watching. It's Christian Bachu coming at you with Solo Macchiato. Today we're going to talk about three different origins of coffee and maybe what's the best brewing method for each one of them. But before, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. I got way more videos on the way. The coffee belt spans approximately 23 degrees latitude from the equator, both north and south, and obviously goes across all the different continents. The Americas, we tend to see the mild and nutty and sort of spicy coffees. In Africa, we see some, bright, very fruity, acidic coffee. And across Asia, we get the earthy and very heavy-bodied coffees. But today, I'm going to pick my three favorite coffees. And the first one we're going to start with is Brazil. The Brazilian coffees I find are very, very nutty, very chocolatey. Lots of, toasted almond flavors that a lot of roasters are able to get out of these coffees. And it actually tends to be my go-to for espresso. The one I usually go to is either a yellow Bourbon or a Catuai. These are the two varietals that I find I tend to gravitate towards when it comes to espresso. So as you guessed it, my favorite way to brew Brazilian coffee is in my espresso machine. I find that it really helps explode those chocolatey flavors. It ends up being an absolute perfect companion for those silky, milky, lattes and cappuccinos and cortados. And it's just a very nice, warm, inviting cup of coffee when brewed under pressure. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people will use other brewing methods as well. It's just I really found that I've struggled, especially with a V60, trying to get those notes out. I've played around with different ratios, with different water temperatures, but I always find that espresso is really my go-to for Brazilian coffees. Next, we're going to talk about Colombians. And while a washed geisha can get you some really, really, really nice notes like passion fruit, apple, honey, lemon in a V60 or a Chemex, I really do find that on average, Colombian coffees tend to have a lower solubility, and that's why the Aeropress tends to be my go-to. Don't get me wrong, I pull them in espresso all the time and I do them as pour overs very often, but I really found lately that adding that extra little bit of pressure in something like an Aeropress after a certain number of minutes of immersion really helps bring out the best flavor complexity of most Colombian coffees. And last but certainly not least, we're going to talk about these really nice Ethiopian coffees. Because of really high solubility, they tend to be best contenders for V60 pour overs or Chemex, whether it's a 3 cup or a 6 cup. I really do find that higher solubility allows these gravity brewing methods to really shine when it comes to them. Whether it's something like a heirloom varietal like this washed sort of traditional process where they initially they wash away the pulp first and then allow the beans to sort of dry and ferment out in the sun, really gives them that true coffee flavor that a lot of people want. But then you also get some nice acidity and just really nice crisp floral notes. I just pulled this really yummy Brazilian shot of espresso. This is my absolute go-to every morning. Let's give it a nice stir and a few sips. Ooh, really nice, really smooth, Very well balanced. It was right about 31 seconds for the extraction. Lots of milk chocolate notes, almond, right? It's all the amazing things that we expect from a really good and sort of medium roasted Brazilian coffee. And now to do what I really, really like to do every single morning, just make my coffee very nice, silky, and smooth. We're going to turn it into a cortado. I'm going to pour a nice little base layer and then try and attempt a little bit of latte art on this in this teeny tiny little cup. Not sure how well you can see that. I'm not the greatest latte artist, but man, that right there is my love and joy. It's what gets me going every single morning. All right, and next up it's the Colombian. I've got a medium fine ground because we're going to go ahead with the Aeropress. A 1:16 ratio, so 12.5 grams for 200 grams of water. I like to brew upside down. That's just me, sue me. Let's tear it up. And I've got water at 96 degrees or about 205 Fahrenheit is where I found it works actually pretty well with this. So let's go ahead. I always like to do a little bit of a bloom pour. Just give it a couple of seconds and then continue on and pour the water right up to 200 grams. There we go. 202, really close. Got my filter. I give it a tiny little stir, get right down to the bottom, make sure that the water is contacting all the grounds. And now I wait a total of 2.5 minutes. It's been just about 2.5 minutes. We're putting the cap on with the filter. Now we're going to flip it upside down and just start giving it a nice, gentle push. I'm not a big fan of pushing through the hiss. I don't really have the science behind that, but maybe that'll be a different video later. And we're back. I let it cool down a little bit, give it about a minute or so. I had to pause the camera because I didn't want to bore you with all the thoughts from my head. I want to give it a nice swirl. Always either stir or swirl your coffee, incorporate everything. And now let's give it a nice up high pour. This beautiful Colombian natural process. Let's go ahead. Oh, the cherry punches you right in the olfactories. That's so nice. Let's give it a nice slurp. Super nice, super balanced. Oh yeah, very nice, clean cup, especially after you push it through that filter. It has actually become my favorite way to brew coffee. Aeropress all the way, and that's Colombian coffee. I'm just finishing up the pour for my Ethiopian. I'm doing a 1:15 ratio. I did a 2-pour method. The first one was just a 50 cc bloom, and then I poured the rest of it nice and slow. I don't want a lot of agitation, and we're gonna let it draw down and enjoy it. 2 minutes and 42 seconds later, I've also let it cool down for about a minute. Afterwards, we're gonna pour it up nice and high, and we're gonna try our Ethiopian. Oh man, that is more vibrant than a flock of flamingos. Really nice. Really good notes. Apple, some berries, pear, very sweet, very nice. Super nicely balanced. I found sort of that high 2-minute extraction. Worked out really well for this cup. and I absolutely love it. Again, this is just what I found worked best across these three different types of coffee. Everyone's experience is a little different. Their grinder is going to be different. Their ability to get coffee at their water at a very specific temperature is going to be different. But I did find overall that these were the best methods for brewing these three different types of coffee, from Brazilian to Colombian to this old world, so to speak, Ethiopian here. If anyone else has any different ideas or any different experiences that have worked for them for these types of coffees, please drop them in the comments below. And remember, in the meantime, life is beautiful.